Good morning and most welcome to Heidegger 1437. I will start with a new book here, so generously handed over to me by my dear colleague Kalle Lundahl. It is by the excellent author F. David Peat. A famed collaborator with David Bohm and co-author of the holographic paradigm and author of many other books. And I think it's rather fitting to put in it's going to be a rather short lecture here, since we have gotten into the subject of origins, the pure arche, or the real essence. All those things points to another way of making connections in the world. Connections that are not stemming from the original, that are not coming from the starting point. This is how we always perceive a causal chain. We have an origin, a pure start. We have initial conditions. It's pure presence, as Jacques Derrida would have it, when he exposed logocentrisms. In Heidegger, it is Geschichte, and that is in contrast with Historia, that is history in the stale way. It also bears connections to how things relate to each other. We mentioned earlier Carlo Rovelli, the fantastic Italian physicist, who puts down the foot and says, everything is relations. Even the connections in between things are of the whole global take. We end up with a quite different view of connections, and it's called synchronicity, the title of the book. So once we sort of see through the imagery and fixation of origins, of original, or private language as Heidegger calls it, or the before thing as Hans Ruin mentioned, what is before, what is present, the eternal search for the Platonic ideal leads in its dissolvement to synchronicity. I will read a little bit from the beginning of the book. Chapter 1, page 1. The physicist and the psychologist. Each of us is faced with a mystery. We are born into this universe. We grow up, work, play, fall in love, and at the ends of our lives face death. Yet in the midst of all this activity, we are constantly confronted by a series of overwhelming questions. What is the nature of the universe? And what is our position in it? What does the universe mean? What is its purpose? Who are we, and what is the meaning of our lives? So all of a sudden, new things are coming into the view of our thinking, of our knowing, and that is that of purpose, the why question. As Heidegger often calls it, Designsfrage. In quantum physics, meaning comes first. For what purpose is the experiment executed? What is our telos? What is our goal? In the private language argument of Wittgenstein and his exposure of the beetle in the box, he shows that we are obsessed by origins, but we are forgetful about what's happening, what is actually taking place. And here, quite another thing comes to the fore. it's another beast entirely. It's not hard to imagine the reason for the physicist and the psychologist being put in the same rubric. All of a sudden, once you realize that the inner is not a mysterious hidden thing in the dark, that will make it come into the open, to be lively, to be working in quite the manner it's supposed to do. When our misunderstanding of the language game slowly dissolves, we are participating once more, and the why comes into the fore, and we start realizing whatever we do, whatever we have done, there has always been a why, a reason.
Och väldigt mycket kalendermänniska, alltså så försöker jag hålla min använder den elektroniska, men jag håller den uppdaterad.
Ja, just det. Nej, men du, det gör jag inte med telefonen. Jag vill ha den. Jag vill ha papper. Ja, för då behöver man inte bläddra så mycket. Hej Carina! Jag sitter och väntar på dig.
Hej, vet ni hur man får tag på personal?
Det är den där. Som du kan fråga. Nej, han är
Du?
Inget ljud.
Jag fixar det.
Hallå?
Science attempted to offer answers to these questions, for it has always been the province of the scientist to discover how the universe is constituted, how matter was first created, and how life began. And my comment here, this has been going on since the physicos of early times, working hard in the Ionian coastline in looking for an arche that was inner, without the why, so to speak. It lacked stillness, neither did it have the movement. It was a hidden thing in obscurity, and the only objector at that time was Heraclitus, who saw in the movement the creation of both stasis and flow, how things could spring into being by contradictions. And synchronicity is most definitely one of those features that once more makes the world something of knowledge, whereas the stuckedness in the inner makes knowing hard, cumbersome. It becomes denken, as Heidegger has it, the unthankful business, a chore instead of danken, thankful thinking, easy thinking. You could also, with a stretch of thinking, say that Derrida brings synchronicity to the text. He brings in true connections. He brings in stasis and movement. And he lets the contradictions come to life, invigorating the text. Not shallowing it out. Something Rodolphe Gasquet called nullification. Say he's one of the very best interpreters of Derrida, but also points eloquently to this obliteration of the text when it doesn't no longer have a life force. When day is not let to be the contrast to night, and night is not the opposite of day, then the text comes to true life, living once more, invigorated, almost animistic. Maybe a comment here on my dear colleague? You care to say something?
Hello. Yesterday we went through Johnston, and he speaks about the private linguist who makes rules. Instead, Johnston emphasizes the context. And this fits also with Rovelli's relational quantum physics, that context is above everything, relations. And as you mentioned at some lectures, it's like communism is good in theory, but it doesn't work in practice. So it's easy to put rules in theory without context, but you need the relations also. The relations should come first, and then you put rules, as we also learned from what the lawyer. Let me think. Robert Unger and yes, so
Lee Smolin
and Robert Unger. Thank you. That they showed that laws come after everything. That is, for instance, if you have a society, you put the laws come after. That's also in the universe. So laws are never the same; they change. So back to you, Hans. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kalle, and it gave me a moment to ponder about what you said. Think about this. I just put out the question here, or the idea. Opposition, as Derrida often takes up, and I would say it's underneath everything Heidegger writes, the thea, aletheia. Oppositions are in themselves a relation, an entanglement, if you like. I didn't think about it until now, actually, but it is a relation, and by nullificating it in the text, maybe in some book. Glass of Derrida is an excellent example. This is not glass, where he invigorates the text by letting the relations, the contradictions, the oppositions play once more. This is the doing of both stasis and movement. Why? That was a short one, but was great. Thank you very much, and have a very pleasant morning. Bye-bye.